So a big welcome to Colin Tuching, my friend from Britain, who's now working as a music expat in Hong Kong, right?
Yep.
Hopefully enlightening the children in Hong Kong with the essence of Western civilization in music, right? Now you've been living in Hong Kong for a while, and you should have a reasonable knowledge of in the cross cultures of the East and West. Now today we have this guest speaker, Percy Leung, right?
Yep.
What's your name in Chinese?
Leung Bok Lai.
Leung Bok Lai, right? Who is oddly doing a PhD degree in history.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
At the University of St. Andrews.
Yep.
And tell us what your dissertation is about.
My dissertation is mainly about how the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra and the London Symphony Orchestra, how they contributed to the countries during the First World War, socially, economically, and politically.
You sound very confident.
Well, I hope that I sound confident, but it probably doesn't mean
if I were your parents in Hong Kong, I would be a little bit worried, because it's not the kind of qualifications or subjects, right?
Yep.
A multinational bank in Hong Kong would take in priority during interviewing candidates for the job of internship, right?
Yep.
Are you not worried at all?
No, I understand that in Hong Kong it's always the subjects like law, engineering, and medicine that gets priority. However, I don't have much intention to coming back to Hong Kong in the future to develop my career as yet. And when it comes to culture and music, Europe is second to none.
And let me boldly assume that your parents are not property tycoon, right?
They're not. They're not.
Okay.
They're not.
Well, good. You're still too young, Colin, right?
Maybe.
Well, let's start with music today.
Okay.
Now, Colin, you're also a person of music, and you an expert. How should music be taught in secondary school or to secondary school kids in Asia, mainly to Chinese and Hong Kong Chinese? Tell me what your first experiences are.
Well, the first experiences, I've been over here many times, over 20 years, and I've seen the music festivals develop, I've seen the performance of wind bands in particular develop. Choirs and orchestras now are doing very well. But a lot of it is practical, and underneath that has to be an understanding of the theory, the analysis, all the ways in which the composers created the music, the reasons they wrote what they did, when they did, the service it offers, say in church and so on. And the reasons behind writing in certain harmonic or melodic styles has to be understood in order to be able to play or sing very well. So though the actual physical playing of instruments and voices is doing extremely well, I feel that there's a missing level of underground support, which in the West we try to create. Actually, from the beginning, when we learn to make music, we actually learn about the theory of music, the notation of music, and the history of music as part of the learning. Whereas here, it seems to be the surface of the technique necessary to produce the notes. Of course, you're blessed here as youngsters with playing the violin and the piano have natural facility, so you can produce enormous number of notes very fast and at a very young age. But that's not just what we need to do for music. And so if you play all those notes with no meaning and no purpose, then really the notes count for nothing. So finding that purpose is important.
But I got to defend Hong Kong or Chinese kids a bit. We were not as lucky as those Austrian or German kids born by the Danube River, right? We used not to see grand classical architectures like the Gothic churches around. And parents don't take us to the church on Sundays to listen to Bach, right, or Handel. Parents used to take us to great department stores like Chanel and Louis Vuitton for shopping. And these have been the brilliant Western names we Hong Kong Chinese children have been learning instead of Bach and Mozart, Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Now, with the total lack of such background cultural knowledge, right, in the West, don't you think we are doing pretty well? Even if you stress the word physical and practical?
Yes, that's what I said at the beginning. The standard.
But look at Lang. He's from a family by the Yellow River. You know, up in the north, in China, there's virtually nothing, right? But swarms of locusts visiting the paddy fields there twice a year, and nothing else, right?
But the standard of playing of notes doesn't necessarily reveal whether or not you value your Vuitton bag, or if you understand the purpose of Chanel couture. And I think one of the problems that I see, and it isn't just in Hong Kong, this is something over all the world, that there are youngsters who, because they're blessed with facility, learn to play instruments very, very well and very fast. And you do get an enormous number of prodigies getting through physically very demanding repertoire. But underneath that, there's often a lack of understanding, a lack of purpose. Lang Lang is a very interesting example. He's been made by the media. He was probably very fortunate to be picked on as somebody who could be made into a world star because of his image, both the way he looks and now, of course, the way he behaves. And he actually presents himself as very much a world star. He values that sort of image. Whether or not it means that his performances are necessarily any better or more valuable is a big question. And of course, there are many people who would say that his performances on the piano, though they might look brilliant, they don't necessarily sound brilliant. And though they might look as though they're flamboyant, they don't necessarily honour the culture from which the music of Brahms and Beethoven and Chopin should be played.
Or he's been deliberately presented by some cynical market managers on the East Coast of America, putting a sort of Michael Jackson together with an Oriental version for Mozart with a Chinese face, something like that. Right? Which
That's
makes
a fair comment, yeah.
Which makes the CD sell better, especially in China, which is a big market, right?
Yep.
Oh,
but
so you agree with this speed of cynicism?
Not necessarily, because I agree with Colin saying that Lang Lang's musical performance is maybe very catchy to the eye, but not necessarily correct or aesthetic to the ear. However, if we look at the marketing perspective, I cannot emphasize enough how Lang Lang has broadened the base of classical music in China and indeed in Asia. His way of performance sometimes can be a bit erratic and crazy. Indeed, it appeals to the youngsters and makes it interesting that classical music can be this interesting as well.
So your protege, Percy, despite a very old-fashioned name, is rather brave and daring, is expressing his strong opinions. Be prepared for getting a few enemies on the internet. However, you make your point, right? But thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you.
Let's get back to this program soon and talk about something as exciting as today, right? So let's get back to the program very soon and see you.